funny old year, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, I think they all are, aren't they, at the minute? we never know what's next.
I think the most recent events involving I don't know. Are we actually allowed to say match fixing? Because
No,
I think it's
no,
fixing.
no.
Is I mean,
Accused, alleged.
alleged. You can be alleged of.
Yeah, you
Well,
can't say that you can't say at the minute that it is match fixing. You can say alleged match fixing.
alleged. Well, alleged match fixing. I mean, who we got? We got. I think the biggest. I think the biggest shock of all. The biggest shock of all is probably Jan Big Tie. I mean, Jan is what is he? 16 in the world.
Yeah, but what you've got to remember, I think, is that this whatever has happened will have been some time ago. They're not accusing Jan of any match fixing. He could be just suspended pending investigations because they think he knew about it and didn't report it. So if he knew about it and didn't report it, he's still going to get suspended and banned like Jimmy Jones did. So there's no reason to think that Jan has done anything since he's won the Masters. Why should he bother doing that? But that said, it could be anybody because Phil Seymour put Sean Murphy on the spot the other day on the 147 podcast when he said to him, if somebody came up to you and said, "We've got your wife, we're going to kill her unless you throw a match, what would you do? Would you just go running after authorities?" And Sean was really struggling with that, and anybody would be. And what do you do? You know, if you believe that somebody is going to kill someone of your family if you don't comply with them, you're not going to go, "Oh, Jason, oh, he's been a naughty boy." You're not going to do it.
You know, this is controversial. Actually, this business of knowing, if you're accused of knowing of any pending allegation, any fix of a match. I mean, I'm not sure that should be suspendable. Maybe perhaps punishable at some point. Maybe if it's proven that a certain player knew along the lines or had evidence that he was withholding. I mean, even withholding evidence. If I say to you, Michael, I know a couple of lads are just about to fix a game here. I'm not very happy about it, and you know what, Michael, I don't want to get involved. I'm not going to report this. I don't want to get involved. I don't want to get involved in this. I don't like it. Surely it's down to that individual, Michael, to make the complaint or put the letter in or get in touch with Jason and say, Jason, this is happening. Because they're going to have to make a statement. They're going to have to make a statement. They're going to have to come along, just like you would a courtroom appearance. You're going to have to come along and give evidence. You're going to have to come along to a meeting with a written statement and say, I heard such and such, blah, 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 blah.
But to be honest, say, do they have to go? Now, what were the implications if the WPBSA say to them, right, we're having an investigation, you've got to come along? And if they go, nah, I'm not bothering. So they get stopped from playing at World Snooker Tour. They get thrown out the WPBSA. So what? They can't make them. I think people have maybe think that it's like with Liang. They thought Liang Wenbo. They thought that WPBSA should punish him for that incident where he got punished in the courts for beating up a woman. But the WPBSA have got no jurisdiction there. They can. They weren't very happy because he hadn't told them that he was in court. He hadn't told them about that. So all they could do was say that he brought the game into disrepute. They couldn't do anything about him beating up a woman because it's not within their jurisdiction. They can't say to him, "You're not allowed to beat up a woman. You're going to be banned from snooker for 2 years." It's not within their jurisdiction. All they can do is do something like you're bringing the sport into disrepute. They can do that. They can do what they want, basically, like that. But the people seem to think that WPBSA are the law. They're not.
Listen, there's nothing wrong with any of this, Michael. I kind of like what they're doing. You know, quite frankly, it needs a good fucking shakedown. If you ask me, mate, it really does need a good shakedown. You know, players have got to realize that it's not worth it. You know, especially if they're on the professional tour, and to that extent, I think it's just not worth it. And I think it's a good thing that's happening at the moment because it'll put the game in a good place at the beginning of the year. And players are going to realize they can't.
It could do, but I can't see the name there, but it just says Facebook user on mine. It says it happened with James Watanabe. He refused to throw a game and they shot his dad. Now I don't know the ins and outs of that, but there is something like that. Now, if somebody who's not connected with snooker threatens a snooker player, and the snooker player really believes that something bad's going to happen, the people who are threatening him are not concerned about snooker. They're not concerned about this guy's career. They're not concerned about anything like that. They're not even frightened of getting caught. They know what they're doing because they probably do it in lots of other sports as well.
We've got a few other Chinese players involved here, Michael. I don't know some of them actually, to be honest with you. We got Yan. We've got this fella here. We got Lu Ning.
Yeah.
Who's up and coming. Yeah. Very good young player. He's very much involved, or allegedly.
There's quite a few, even one of the amateurs.
You know, yeah. Obviously, Jan's the one who the high-profile player, and that's really going to set things off. You know, and I think the other ones, I'm not too sure about the other guys. We obviously Lu Ning we saw there, Li Hang, Bai Lang Ning, and Zhao Xianbo, and there's a couple of others are implicated, but these are very, very low-ranked players. Some of them are not even on the tour.
Well, there's only one, I think, that's not actually on the tour, but he was number one on the Q School Order of Merit. So he's played in a few games, obviously. But it's not going to stop the people. It's not going to stop the ringleaders because they're probably nothing to do with snooker. They don't really do not care about any snooker player's career. No. And a snooker player can't really. Well, he could, but you know, is he going to say to him, "Oh no, you can't do that. I've got to go and tell him, and you know, you can't do that to me because I'll lose my career." You know, so what? They don't care. Not bothered.
Anyway, we'll try and get away from this here. It's not a really good end to the.
No, it's terrible.
To the year, really, when we get these kinds of allegations going on. But let this be a lesson to the guys out there to just don't get involved in any of this, lads. You know,
but Stephen Lee and co, other people like that,
unless
they've not learned from that, have they? Stephen Lee might have learned, but the other players, Stuart Bingham was banned for betting on other people's matches. John Higgins was banned for not reporting somebody trying it on with him, even though it was a scam. But there are nothing puts them off. You're never going to put them off. I mean, just about every sport every sport. I mean, horse racing is allegedly riddled with it. And I don't watch horse racing. I don't know, but there's so much that they say about that. Greyhound racing. Probably lots of other sports. There's probably lots and lots because most of it is about betting, isn't it? That's all.
So, very, very different to horse racing. I think it's a It's all a bit of a headache, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's turn to what's been going on through the year. Give a wee rundown there, Michael. It's been a very interesting year of competitions and the amateur scene. As far as the Q Tour is concerned, we've had five Q Tours.
Yeah, last one's coming up next weekend.
Next week, yeah, put up there George Prangle and Ross Muir in the first one. Ross won the first one. Second one, George got to the final again. Came up against Martin O'Donnell.
Yeah.
And it was a very good start for George. George went on to win the amateur. The first amateur event, didn't he?
Yeah, the English amateur tour thing.
Amateur tour event, yeah. Yeah, so he's put himself in a good place there. He's also doing quite well on the other events. Q Tour 3, is it Farah Kajib? Beat Harvey Fowler in the final of that one. Well done to him. Billy Castle beat, I think it was Andrew Higginson, wasn't it, on Q Tour 4.
Was that in Belgium, was it?
I think it was Belgium, yeah. Donny Wells beat Sid Wilson on the last one there.
Yeah.
Good to see players like Donny coming through again. I'm a good friend of Donny. He's a great player, that kid. I'm a good friend of Sid Wilson as well. You know, Sid probably would have liked to have put a lot more into his game. And Sid was obviously on the tour already. I think between his family life and making decisions, Sid will probably agree with me. Very tough decisions to make when he came off the tour and deciding whether to keep on at snooker and carry on, because he's got lots of ability, you know. And also Sid supported my pro-ams for about 3 or 4 years. You know, he played in nearly all of them for a while there. And Donny Wells as well, when we had the pro-ams at Stratford, Donny Wells would come along with Jackson and Lee Walker and a few of the other Welsh professionals and play. Probably only because it was only an hour and a half's drive, Michael. But no, he did very well at them. Lots of ability. Donny should be on a tour. You know, he's better. He's a better player than a dozen or so players at the lower end of that tour, Michael.
Yeah,
he's a much better player. What do you think?
I don't know how we. No disrespect to Adam Duffy, but I really thought Dan was going to win that match at Q School.
Yeah.
I was there. I was sat there watching that, and I was really surprised that Dan went and lost that. I don't know how he did. I really don't know how he did. But
well, you know, listen, Adam probably hasn't done as well as he'd like to do in a lot of his matches. You know, he's a very experienced professional snooker player. Some of the younger lads out there probably don't know that. So, I mean, when you're up against an experienced ex-professional who turns it on the day, and Adam's had some great matches, you know, then anything can happen there. You know, Donny could have had a weaker player, a player with less experience.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know, on that day. But I have no doubts that, just like Michael did, you know, Michael White, you know, who again, Michael's had his troubles, you know what I mean? We all know about that. But Michael's a much better player than a lot of lads on the lower end of the tour. And, you know, sorting your personal issues out, sorting your family life. And if you have a job, as a lot of those lads on the lower end of the tour have got jobs as well, Michael, you know. They're trying to balance everything out and make decisions. And, you know, it's easier maybe for those players who are making a living, who are making a constant living on the tour.
Well, that's one of the other big things, I suppose, that did happen this year, where they decided to make sure that everybody earns at least £20,000. Yeah. Now that is quite a big thing, really, because, like you said, most people do have jobs. Not most people, sorry. Lots of the lower ranked pros needed jobs because they simply couldn't survive. Even players like David Grace, Peter Lyons, people like that, you know, they do things at Northern Snooker Centre. There's a lot of the pros do coaching, and there's, you know, work behind bars, and work there at the clubs, running clubs. Some of them, you know, it's not really one of them sports. It's not, certainly not like football and tennis, golf, things like that. Where it's once you've made it for life, and you know it's good money. It's not really good money, is it? I mean,
no, there's a lot of good examples of that too. I mean, players. I mean, I think I'll use Michael White as an example there with Michael with his with the problems he had to deal with off the table. You know, it's good to see players coming out and talking about their anxieties, their depression.
yeah.
You know, Mark Selby, you know, did some very good videos last year and the year before, actually, with players like Martin Gould, you know, who talked about his problems and talked on and off the table. And, you know, you can talk about players who are struggling too, Michael. You can talk about players like Michael Holt, for example. Michael Holt, you know, he just before lockdown, I think Michael had a little baby, and I think after that, Michael, I don't know. It'd been very interesting to speak to him about it and find out what it's like for a player to having had a child, you know, with his wife, his family, the family situation and the pressures. You do find that players have children, like they're just normal like the rest of us. You know, they have kids, have families, and they deal with the stresses. You know, our kids are grown up, you know, but their kids. Michael's maybe, I don't know how old Michael is. I think is he 40 yet? You know, he's got a young child. You know, they could have problems at home with their wives. You know, they could have health issues. They could have young children. Call it what you like, and they have to deal with all of this. You know, and so these are the types of things that, you know, a lot of people from the outside don't see, and it does affect their games. It affects their games a lot.
Yeah, bound to do.
I'm not just talking about your wife having a go at you because you're having a game of snooker, Michael. I know your wife. I know your wife hates it when you go down to that club. You're always in that club, Michael. You're always in that club. What's the matter with you? Why can't you stay at home and watch TV with me and have some dinner? You know, it's not about that. It's, you know, the kids are squealing in the background. You know, your dinner's in the bin. You're not even taking the dog for enough walks. I don't know. You have all this trouble, don't you?
Me, I don't get to club enough. I don't get enough. I don't get there enough to be shouted at. But it must be. It's a struggle for everybody. Obviously, that, you know, it's the various age groups. The youngsters coming through trying to, you know, decide if that's a career for them or not, or, you know, do they do something else as well? Do they try to, you know, get a degree or something? I mean,
that's right.
It's very difficult. Like saying Adam Duffy, he's had to give up. Well, he's given up his job as a bricklayer, I think he was. It is definitely a struggle, and because obviously it's an individual sport and not like football where they get taken on by a team and they get, you know, a club and they get paid to, you know, to be a professional, whether they play or not. You know, they've got to play to earn money. So the 20,000 obviously helps.
Absolutely, cover a lot of expenses.
Yeah. Which again is one of the things now which gives rise to a possible change in future of these so-called qualifying events, because the excuse for the qualifiers before was that because most of the tour are English, play the qualifiers in England, then they don't all have to go to China and come away with nothing. But, you know, now if you look at I don't know how many tournaments there are over a season, but there's, you know, it's got to be like £1,000 or so per tournament if you take the 20,000 and say, well, that's my expenses, that's covered that, you know, and they could take them on there, because there's lots that the World Snooker Tour or WPBSA could do if they had these people hesitate to say, but under their control. But if they could maybe, you know, charter a plane, fly them all out together, do stuff, promote the things, and all come back together, you know, make a big event of it in Germany, China, Turkey, Taiwan, wherever, you know, wherever they play.
I think we're starting to open up a little bit now. I mean, I think we're going to start the guys are going to start traveling a little bit more, maybe possibly. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure China. I mean, well, probably eventually. I mean, look, we had a very, very successful, very successful Masters there. You know, Hong Kong Masters.
Wasn't in play to
tremendous, absolutely fantastic venue event. You know, really, superb. But I think, you know, it's going to put everybody in a good. Just get rid of that there. I think it's really going to give World Snooker Tour a lot of ideas about different venues, but I mean, maybe increasing the size of the venues. Not that we get the big crowds. We don't get 9,000 people over here at the snooker venue. We just don't get it.
No.
You know, we do get bigger and bigger crowds that are coming in.
There's no venues that they play at that are that big.
No.
The biggest is probably Ali Pali with like 3,000, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. I mean, Hong Kong's a long way to go, but that was a great event. A lot of money in it too. You know. So anyway, getting back to the season with the pros, we'll not talk too much about the pros because they're not really very interesting, are they? You know. But you know, it's been a good season for Ronnie. It's a good year for Ronnie. It's been a good year for Mark Allen. Ronnie, of course, won the Hong Kong Masters there, and then he won the world. Obviously, took the World Championships. Again, and what else did he win? He won the Champion of Champions over Trump.
Yeah, I'm not. You know, I'm not one for remembering stuff like that.
How do you keep up with stuff? You know, you're worse than the players.
Yeah,
but yeah, I know Mark Allen's had a fantastic season as well.
Yeah.
He's won the Northern Irish Open, which is a big thing for him. I know it is very personal.
Just one second, Dave. Just one. I will be back in 1 second.
Yeah, you're no loss. You're getting on my nerves anyway, to be honest with you. Well, I've got you on here, guys, just to let you know that the Pro-Am Snooker page on Facebook is shut down. So now you can stay away. So these competitions here, guys, these competitions at the Castle Club in Brighton, these are going to be held every other month, and they're going to consist of this type of format, which is a £35 format scratch event for amateurs. And then we're going to have a £65 Pro-Ams. We're going to have about 3 or 4 of them during the course of the day. And they're all, guys, they are all invitation only. You know, they're all invitation only. And there's a reason for that. That's the same reason why I've shut down the Pro-Am Snooker page, is because it's just not really supported. It's not getting enough content from everybody. I'm not going to blame anybody, mate. Or you start pointing the finger at people, then you get a bad rep. You know, people say, "What's he talking about?" Nobody knows what he's talking about. So shut the page down, guys, because we don't need it. We've got amateurs, we've got Snooker Hub, we got amateur snooker here with this fella here. So we don't really need that. I just keep the live page and the live YouTube channel going, and we shall just do interviews. As some of you know, I'm doing a lot of different stuff. I'm going to be doing a lot of different stuff in the coming months, but all the snooker stuff is going to be on here. And then obviously the live streams, I'm not sure we're going to post all the live streams, Michael, on YouTube, but don't really need to, because sometimes they go on a bit like you and Henry. You know, you do go on a little bit. Yeah, nothing I can do about that. But, you know, it's all right. It's okay. So we'll just keep these up. So YouTube, Facebook page, amateur snooker, see what else happens with Snooker Hub.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's that's about it. Michael, anything else to talk about for the previous year there? What's happening at your end? Anything new or any other ideas? Or is anything you want to bring up?
No, it's just an ongoing process with me. I'm not one of these who, you'll sit waiting for January the 1st to come to start doing something again. Every day is a new year for me. I just carry on and very much live for the moment. That's why I don't have a lot of. I certainly don't bother with statistics. I'm not like Phil Yates or Dave Enden and co, who can rhyme off like they can speak a full volume in numbers. And I lost. It loses me. How many 147s? How many times he's done this, and how many times he's done that? Like, no. But there are lots of good things. Joe Perry's doing a great thing with Q Stars in that he's put up this prize for a Q School place for a Q Stars ranking event series type thing where after a few events the top ranked player will get a free entry to Q School. There's lots of stuff going on. It seems to be really, really busy, and I don't know whether that's still like a knock-on effect from being starved of snooker for a couple of years with COVID. But it seems really busy in the local club that I last 2 days. Obviously everybody's off for Christmas and that, but it's been rammed. 15 tables full, and it's just you go in and you can't get a table. You listen at the bar and you're listening to them turning people away. They're ringing up trying to book tables. Just really, really busy. And when you look at the calendars, there's lots of clashes. A lot of the amateurs have entered the World Six Red qualifiers, and they found out that it's clashed with the Q Tour. But where do you put these things? You just got to put them on and let people choose which one you go to, because not long ago people were saying that there's nothing, and now people are like struggling to find a gap to put a tournament. So it's really busy and it's really good. Everything seems in a good place. World snooker, the professionals are getting it together. I went to York the other week, and the difference there was marked with the Q zone and being able to watch the players practicing beforehand, warming up, and you could see the studio guys there getting ready. It's much different, much better atmosphere. And they're listening to the criticisms, to the suggestions, to the ideas, to the things like that Judd Trump was saying, make it more of an experience. It's not just about going to watch a game of snooker, because everybody can watch these things on streams and everything now. But if you want to go there, you need a bit more of an experience rather than just to watch a snooker match. It needs a bit more now. And there seems to be getting on with that. So things are changing all the time, and hopefully things are changing for the better. And obviously, like we said before, they can wheedle out and stop any cheating. I don't think they'll ever will, but they can do the best. But that's always going to be a struggle.
I got a feeling next year, Michael, that a lot of players are going to come through. A lot of lower ranked professionals are going to come through. Yeah. I mean, we've seen. I don't know whether you feel the same way, but I've seen some very, very interesting results on the tour with lower ranked players starting to beat the bigger names. Yeah. And I think that things like the 20K, for example, is going to create a lot of good feeling. Taking a lot of pressure off players, lower ranked players who are coming into their qualifiers. I think that's going to create a great opportunity for players to push themselves up the rankings. Yeah. So I think we're going to see that. I think we're going to see that this year. And the other thing I wanted to bring up before we get off here is our stream on the 25th of January. We're going to be talking about some things that hasn't really had a lot of feedback, actually, Michael, to be honest with you. But I think it's a big thing. I mean, we've talked about it, but talking about the seeding system, the tiering system, the way players are ranked with the point system, with the money.
Yeah.
You know, I'm starting to feel, Michael, I'm starting to feel that that's come to an end. I'm starting to feel that that's becoming redundant now. It's time to look at other ways of looking at a player's performance and rewarding that player. And I'm not so sure that the money system is working. I'm not sure that the money system is is really showing the true performance of that player. Why don't we change that?
Yeah,
Why don't we change that to maybe points for frames, a few more points for wins, points for frames, maybe points for high breaks, and then really having a very detailed performance analysis of each player as they go along. What do you think? Is that something we need to look at?
Definitely, because I'm a firm believer in the tiered draw and have it a nice, simple way of tiered draws, not like the World Championships in the UK worked perfectly well. The UK was a massive difference with that tiered draw this time. But on a normal ranking event, you could have, say, 4 blocks of 32. You know, like blocks 1, 2, 3, and 4 are 32 each, where 3 and 4 play each other, and the winners play the second block, and the winners of that play the top block. So you've got the top 32, but if you do have a better ranking system rather than just the money, the ranking points and the ranking can be much more fluid, and people can work their way up a lot quicker. Because if lower players are playing, you know, their peers, their equals, it can be the best of the bottom 64 playing the next best of the top 64, if you like, the second best of the top 64, and then playing the top 32.
Yeah.
But if you got points per frame, say, by the time that tournament finished, somebody in the bottom 64 could have got quite a lot of points, but they've earned it.
Exactly.
So it's
it's a tough one, and I want to get a couple. I've been trying to get hold of 3 or 4 pros, very high ranked pros, and the others haven't got back to me. You know who you are. You haven't got back to me. I'm absolutely disgraced with you. You know. I'm not going to mention your names. I'm not going to do that to you. You know, just because you're up there, at the top, doesn't mean to say you come on and speak to me and Michael and, you know, give your views. And they're very, very opinionated, by the way. You probably know who they are, Michael. They're very opinionated players. And they were going to come on and do a video short with me. But they will. I'm sure they'll get in touch. They're not probably able to see this. They'll get in touch. We'll get in touch, and we'll do it anyway. But yeah, we're going to have that. That's the focus of our stream on the 22nd of January, and not just that, guys. If you want to send in your views on that, if you're an amateur snooker player with some ability, you know, you want to come on and have a chat about it, get in touch with Michael or me. Send us a message, and you can come on. Or you can even just send your views in. You can come on the screen for a couple of minutes and give your views. And this is open to all amateur professional snooker players. You know, I'm going to invite Chris Henry to come on, and Steve Finney. And I'm going to invite Jason as well, believe it or not. So, well, you know, some of the guys, if they want to come on and give us a little chat about it, you know, we don't give anybody any trouble on here, Michael, do we? We don't give anybody any trouble. I've never caused any trouble. I might have the odd bottle of wine at the events, but you know, I never cause anybody any trouble. I just sit there and fall asleep, you know, watching this very exciting sport. You know, that's what I do. But that's what we're going to do. January the 25th, guys. Amateur snooker on this channel and on the YouTube channel. I hope some of you want to get involved in that. You know, at the end of the day, Michael, if they don't support it, we'll we'll go and sit in the lounge and watch soap operas. We'll just watch TV and we'll go down to the club and just have a bit of fun. I mean, I don't care. We don't get. Do we get paid for this? We don't get paid for this, do we?
No.
Do I want any adverts on my YouTube channel? No. Do I want to monetize them? No. Do I? Why? Why? Do I want to have an advert? I mean, we're boring enough without an advert.
Well, people know that any money that comes my way, through anything about snooker, usually goes back in way of sponsorship of various events and kids events and things like that. I don't. Not that I don't need money. I could spend money like it's going out of fashion, but I don't do this or anything like this to
exactly
try. I don't make a living. I'm kind of basically retired, so semi-retired.
The competitions, Michael. Some of the players used to ask me what I was doing with the competitions. It used to be that the clubs paid me and the players paid me a fiver.
Yeah.
When I went, maybe I went to London or wherever the hell it was when I went and ran one of those tournaments. But all my tournaments now at the Brighton Club, they're all invitation only. And so I've got a list of 32 regular players who have supported my tournaments. So they get the invites. And if, say 12, like 22nd of January, we've got a pro-am at the Brighton Club. It's full. But it wasn't full. There was about 3 spaces left after I put it out. It filled up in about 3 or 4 days. So then I'll go back to those players and I'll say, look, do you want to invite a friend? Invite another player. Tell me who he is. He can come and play. Simple as that. Absolutely no hassle whatsoever with those events. We'll have it at the Brighton Club, guys, because it's got 8 tables and it's an absolutely fantastic club. Do you know what I mean? There's absolutely no problems with this club at all. It's an amazing club. I'm going to see if I can actually get a little bit of an image up here off the club, actually, Michael. And I think that there's a lot to be said for it. I think I'm not sure. Can you actually see? Are we on the full screen there, Michael?
Yeah.
Who's that fella? He's a nice looking fella, lean looking fella. He's got a bit of a funny walk, but. Goodness me, I think I was about a stone lighter.
Must have been a long time ago, that one.
I'm not so sure. That's the Castle Club, guys, and it's absolutely fantastic venue. And, it's the reason why I'm just holding the events there. And it's just a nice, easy day, best of 7s. And lots of opportunities. The only difference this time round next year, Michael, I'm going to be handicapping the professionals. 14 and 21. So all the money, guys, all the money from that event that's missing from the pot, when you pay your entry fees, I take an entry fee out of it and I either give it to 2 juniors or split it between 2 juniors, and me and the club pay the rest. The rest of the money goes to the club for the lights, and it's not a lot of money. I don't know what it is, Michael. It's probably about £100, but we're playing snooker on those tables sometimes to 7 o'clock in the evening. I know the tables come down as we go along, but the club's making nowhere near the money it makes. If we weren't there, So I mean, the club that's a very busy snooker club, very busy snooker tables, and it's very nice of the club to let us use the tables for that money. So I don't make any money. I don't make any money out of run a snooker tournament at the Castle Snooker Club. Okay, so that's about it. Right, that's it. Right. I think, Michael, we've done. I was only supposed to be half an hour, and you've 40 minutes. It's no good.
Time flies when you're having fun.
It does indeed. So it's coming up to 3 o'clock. I'm going to start drinking at around about 5 after dinner, and I wish all of you a happy new year. You know what's going on here with me and Michael. Keep trying to get involved in these streams, guys. You can do whatever you like, subscribe to whatever you want. I'm not trying to build a business on here. And Michael, he's retired. He's not interested either. So get involved in these. Forget about the live stream on the 22nd. Sorry, the 25th. get your questions in. If you want to join in,
Yeah.
send him a message, send me a message. I don't care who you are. Just try and get involved in that. So it's goodbye from me. I wish you all a happy new year.
And it's goodbye from him.
Keep yourselves happy and healthy. Hang around with good friends that care about you. Michael, what have you got to say?
Be good.
Be good. Is that it? All right. Thanks very much, guys. Have a good new year. All the best to you. And we'll catch up with you soon.
Definitely.
Holly ho. Let's stay on there, Michael. It's still rolling, isn't it?
Yep.
Do you know this new studio?
Still
I haven't
live
even
yet?
got a start button anymore on this one.
Still live yet?
You know, absolutely fantastic. Do it, man.